Out of all the aquariums that I've ever set up, my least favorite to do is the Oscar Aquarium. And it's a very simple reason. No matter what I do or what I have planned out for a beautiful scape, they're going to destroy it and do whatever they want to it. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I set up my 180-gallon Oscar aquarium. I have a number of things I have to keep in mind, and we're going to get to them as the scape progresses. First and foremost, the bottom of the tank. We all know Oscars dig, but they're going to pick up the substrate, move it around, and do whatever they please. And when they do this, they're going to expose the bottom of the aquarium. So I took this prefabricated aquascaped mat, I'm not even sure what to call it, that aquadecorbackgrounds.com sent me, not knowing if I would use it or not, but as soon as I saw it, I immediately thought this is going to be perfect for the Oscar aquarium, because not only does it look great, but once there's a substrate over it, if they dig down past it, it's going to expose this, and it's gonna look even better. If we look at it close up, you can see that it's got some intricate designs. It's mostly just like rocks that are just tumbled all over the bottom. And I guess I'm saying that because it's going to be relatively difficult to match other rocks to go along with it. But I did have some. Now I realize that not everybody's going to like this scape. It's going to be very basic. It's not going to have a ton to it. But the reasoning is simple. Not only are we adding Oscars into this, but I'm adding my Fahaka puffer to it, as well as my large Bichir. Now the Bichir likes to stay at the bottom, it likes to have caves, it likes to hide, as well as the Fahaka. It likes to create little beds in the substrate and, you know, kind of just hide when it wants to, and it spends most of its time near the bottom of the aquarium. The Oscars, on the other hand, spend most of their time in the top half of the tank. They'll venture throughout the entire thing. We got to keep this in mind and keep the top of the tank completely and totally wide open. I also wanted to use these rocks because it doesn't matter if the Oscars kind of tip them over or push them aside or anything like that, because these are hollowed out rocks from Aqua Decor Backgrounds as well. They didn't send all of these intentionally to match all this. I just kind of, you know, use it whenever I need it, if I do, and these came in really handy. I decided to just make a couple of rock piles and kind of stack them up. I thought that the contrast between the rocks and the base looked really good. I think they looked, you know, very similar. And one of the cool features of these rocks is they have, like, it looks like it's supposed to be moss growing on the rocks, like very aged and withered. Now I can tell you, once some algae gets on these things, and trust me, it's one of my aquariums, it's gonna happen. This is just gonna look absolutely phenomenal. Just a perfect, gorgeous aquarium. The only thing missing, of course, is a substrate. But as you can see, there's tons of caves and crevices, and, you know, it's just an intricate and interesting design, but very basic. I think we're using like 7 rocks or 8 rocks, something like that. Nothing too crazy, and you don't really have to. Now, mind you, this scape was entirely inspired by a goldfish scape that I did years ago in a plywood aquarium. If you guys remember it, it looks like this. Now things are starting to look familiar, aren't they? You see, sometimes I'll do things a long time ago, and I like them so much that I kind of want to do it again, but put my own spin on it. Now this scape, they can swim all around it, in front of it, beside it, through it, you know, absolutely everywhere. So this scape is not going to need to change as they grow. I won't have to take anything out or move anything around, and if they do, I could just kind of prop it back up, no harm done. The only other thing that I got to consider is a substrate. Now, like I mentioned, the Bichir as well as the Fahaka puffer do like to spend time in the substrate, but the Oscars also dig. And if I do a fine sand, I mean, the Oscars could probably pick it up, throw it into the filter, or just make a complete mess of the tank at all times. So one of the best substrates for an Oscar aquarium, in my opinion and my experience, would definitely be a small grain gravel. And I just went one with a small grain gravel with earth tones. I thought it would look good, give a nice contrast. It's actually a very similar color to the Fahaka, so I think he's going to enjoy it. And I just focused most of the substrate all around the decor and a little bit on top of it as well. But for the most part, we're just going to surround the outside of it, because I kind of want to expose the center of it. Almost like all of those rocks are coming up and above the gravel. Such a simple and easy scape, but, you know, again, That's my style. I like to keep things incredibly simple, incredibly basic. I focus everything around the fish as opposed to the scaper or the human and what we think is going to be aesthetically pleasing. And I try to find a bit of a balance, something that I like and I think that I think looks good, but ultimately is in the best interest of the fish. And now you'll notice with the scape, it's wide open, a lot of round edges. The Oscars aren't going to get hurt on it. They're not going to get jammed. They're not going to be able to, cause any damage to the tank itself. It's literally the ultimate Oscar aquarium. It's Oscar proof. Some people will want me to add in plants, and I see no point to that. It's just going to be literal waste of money and a biological load on the aquarium because the Oscars are going to rip them out and kill it. Maybe in the future we'll add something to it, like maybe we can add some silk plants to it. I'm thinking some Valisaria or something long and jungle-like, or maybe some ferns of some sort, but for the time being, I'm dying to see what this is going to look like with the actual Oscars inside. Now, one of the things we'll have to wait for, of course, is for the tank to fill. I got to get some more plumbing parts for the filtration. And by the time you see this video, hopefully I'll be able to have grabbed everything that I need to finish the filters up and finish setting everything up. But I think the furthest I'll be able to get is to fill the aquarium up with water. And then, of course, in the near future, we will add in the biological media that's already cycled and already running on their tank. I literally just got to take it off that tank and put it on this one, so it's almost immediately cycled. And then, of course, move all of the fish over. And in the next video you see on this aquarium, we're going to do all of that. We'll finish up the filter. We'll add in all the biological media, make sure that the aquarium's biologically safe and cycled, and, of course, transfer all of the fish over. I'm personally dying to see what the Beischer is going to look like in this, because right now he's in a 700-gallon and he looks small, but this tank is going to be even more ideal for him. We do want to free up that 700 for the rays so we can get them into more of a breeding mode and kind of set the tone. Might have to play some romantic music for them at this point, but and then, of course, move the Oscars over and the Fahaka. And I gotta say, the Oscars and the Fahaka, now that they're growing together, they get along like they're all part of the same pack. Of course, the puffer is the boss. What a beautiful fish, and very friendly, and he's even more outgoing now. So I think we're gonna see this. I think this tank and its placement, the first one you see when you walk into the gallery of tanks, it's the perfect placement, because Oscars are not skittish. They're not going to hide and run away when somebody just appears from over the corner, and that's something I have to keep in mind as well, is not only what am I going to do for these scapes, but which fish can safely go in which aquarium based off of its location. That's something you definitely got to think about with your own aquariums, is not only tank placement, but are those fish that are going in it going to be okay with being in a high traffic zone, or do they need to be in something like a lower traffic zone? Anyways, this was the ultimate Oscar aquarium. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As simple as it is, guys, at times, that's the beauty in it, isn't it? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and this aquarium. If you're excited and want to see what's to come with this tank and the fish and everything else, make sure you subscribe if you're not already. I'll see you guys in the next video.